Hi everybody. It's July 13th, 2025, and I just wanted to kind of wing it here. We had that flood down in Cairo, Texas, and that was at the point of one of the crosses, the X points, in between the three solar eclipses that happened beginning 2017 and ended up there last year. I believe it was 4/8 of 2024. And just was kind of pushing into the Lord and talking about things. The most astounding thing, talking with a friend, text this morning, forgive me, really wrestling with some sick lungs here. Sent me a text and said, it's interesting that with Joseph in the biblical story in Genesis of Joseph, the son of Jacob, with the coat of many colors, that in regards to today being the 1-year anniversary of Donald Trump being shot in the ear, of course they were aiming for his head, they missed, and got his ear 1 year ago today. That Joseph was in prison with a butler and a baker. And isn't it interesting that the butler lived? The incident with Donald Trump happened 1 year ago today in Butler, Pennsylvania. And so I got to thinking and asking and praying, and the Lord said, look it up. And so I did. And 3 days ago, you just can't make this stuff up. I believe the guy's name was Joseph Butler. I'm not sure. Down in Cairo, Texas, where the flood happened, there has been a vote taken of in confidence of the police chief, the head of the fire division, search and rescue division there in Cairo, Texas, where the flood took place with at Camp Mystic. And so it looks like the you can't make this up. Looks like the butler, President Trump, lived, but the baker, which is the head of the police force rescue division in Cairo, Texas, is going to be decapitated. They're gonna do away with him for a no confidence. A 93% no confidence vote, which means out, away you go. And I was just pressing into the Lord about all this stuff, and I said, Lord, that was at a place where one of the X's. There's two X's in the event with the solar eclipses that happened there since 2017, finishing up there in 2024. And that was in the south, and the next one's in the north. The next X, which is the Hebrew letter Tav, which means the end, in the shape of an X, the letter X, is right over top of a place called Cairo, Illinois. And it's also known as Little Egypt. Little Egypt, Cairo. It happens to be right where the New Madrid fault line is. And there's another fault line there, I can't remember, foot something fault line. There was an earthquake there in 1811 to 1812 of magnitude, 4 of them in a row over the course of 2 months, beginning in December, of magnitudes like 7.8 and upwards of 8 on the Richter scale in the winter. It was known then as the frontier. That was the dividing line. That was the new frontier in 1811, 1812. So there wasn't a whole lot of occupation there. But today there are a lot of people that live there. It affected 230,000 square miles, the earthquakes that took place there. It is said that it was so pronounced that what it did was created waterfalls in the Mississippi River. I've also heard that the Mississippi ran backwards and that it rang the church steeple bells in as far as Boston. Isn't it a coincidence that happens to be the very point of one of the crosses, one of the X's, like that happened in Cairo, Texas? What happened in Texas was a water event. Isn't it interesting that Little Egypt, Cairo, Illinois, is right beside the New Madrid Fault, which is where the Mississippi River is? I'm not saying anything. I'm certainly not prophesying anything. I'm just saying, look at these coincidences here and see what you think. Are we staring down the barrel of the remaining judgment of God on the earth for not repenting? And we can look for a water event, watch the water. In Little Egypt, Cairo, Illinois, where the New Madrid Fault line is and where the Mississippi River is. I don't know. But what a coincidence. If there's something happens there, that would be a big deal. This is a big deal. This is no small thing. God can certainly do it. He's done it before. Everything relates to the Exodus. Joseph was the foundation of the Exodus. The Exodus wouldn't have occurred had the things that happened to him had not happened. Now, it was Joseph that has said that what evil intended to harm, God will use for good. I believe it was Kim Clement who stated that there would be 2 E's. And by the way, E is the 5th letter in the alphabet, so 2 E's is 2 5s, and that's 25. And God told me that all of these things, that he would turn around everything in the 25. And when I asked him, I said, what, like the year 25? And he said, the 25. There are 25s everywhere. We are in Salute America, 250, drop the 0, that's 25. We are in Hebrew year 5785, 5 plus 7 plus 8 plus 5 is 25. We're in solar cycle 25. 25s are everywhere. Everywhere. It's now. It's happening now. In 1811, 1812, before the War of 1812, there were 4 earthquakes, all in the magnitude of 7 and 8, over the course of about 8 weeks, starting December 16th, 1811, and going up into February of 1812. There was a water event that happened at one of the X's in the south, and there is another X in the north, and it's right over a place called Cairo, Illinois, also known as Little Egypt. X, Tav in the Hebrew means the end. There's a certain intelligence community that made drops on a thing called 4chan that talks about consider the last 2 years and consider the next 6. That was posted in 2019. 25 is the 6th year. It's now. I don't know. But what I want to say is this. There is a great potential for a water event to happen where the New Madrid Fault line, where Little Egypt, Cairo, Illinois is. Trust the Lord your God. Pray. Pray. P-R-A-Y, pray. Is there a possibility for some sort of a similar water event to happen at the second place where the intersections of the solar eclipses happened in Cairo, Illinois, also known as Little Egypt, where there is the mighty Mississippi River and many tributaries that flow into it? Pray. Pray. Trust the Lord your God through Jesus Christ, the way, the truth, and the life, and pray. That's the heartland of America. It's a heart matter. It's a matter of the heart. And it's a matter of the heart of the soul of the nation. Now, all of this is equating to Exodus and Egypt and biblical things. I want to remind you, too, that we literally have just witnessed a few weeks ago the 8th of 10 plagues. By the way, 10 divided in 2 is 2 5s, and that's 25. The 8th plague was locusts. We literally watched locusts strip this mountain of all of the leaves. And God has begun to regenerate the leaves, and they're growing back. But the 9th plague is darkness. And the darkness says that nobody can move and nobody can see anything. You can't see each other. But that the Israelites had light in their homes. They were the only ones. There was darkness for 3 days, upon which, after the 9th plague, and the number 9 means the meaning of finality and completion. It's over, the end, the Tav. Then there's the 10th plague, and the 10th plague was the death angel. It passed over, the Passover. There are a lot of coincidences here. I'm just coming to your living room with my pillowcase full of puzzle pieces, and I'm dumping them out on your living room floor. Let's sit together and see if we can make a picture. See if we can make something out of the puzzle pieces. I'm not saying anything, but what I am saying is pray. Because we just witnessed a huge water event, an unprecedented, uncanny water event happen in what is called Cairo, Texas, where the southern end of one of the X's of the 3 solar eclipses happened, and there's a northern eclipse, and it's right over top of a place called Cairo, Illinois, also known as Little Egypt, on the banks of the mighty Mississippi River. Pray. And be prepared. God bless you.